The Honourable Member for Usino-Bundi.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. For the viewing public, I rise in this honourable House before you to ask a series of questions around a very pertinent subject that is currently a major concern for all fuel consumers in Papua New Guinea. My question without notice is directed to the Minister for Rural and Economic Development and Chairman of the High-Level Task Force overseeing the 1 billion kina Fuel Relief Subsidy Program, and would kindly ask our good Prime Minister, Treasurer, and our good Minister for Petroleum to please take note. Firstly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we praise the Marape Rosso government's immediate and timely intervention in this very pressing issue. However, 1 billion kina is a lot of money. Could you explain to this House and to the nation if this 1 billion kina is captured in this year's government budget? And if not, where and how did the government amass the emergency relief funding to mitigate this very pressing issue? Second, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I believe a total of 630 million kina of the 1 billion kina is already paid to directly offset the costs of importers like ExxonMobil and Puma Energy in the first quarter. Would you tell this nation the time frame for the fuel subsidy rollout and whether or not it is sustainable given a total of 600 million kina of the 1 billion kina is already being exhausted in just the first quarter? And also, the conflict in the Middle East is still continuing to provide some level of, so we should provide some level of comfort for fuel consumers in PNG. Third, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the ICCC issued strict warnings against price gouging by operators, particularly our PNV owners and bus drivers right across the country. Yet in the face of fuel price uncertainties, many PNV owners, bus drivers, even trucking companies and everyday fuel consumers are quite unsettled whether this fuel price stability would last. Could you assure this nation some level of comfort regarding the sustainability of the fuel subsidy in this fuel crisis time, in this time of fuel crisis and uncertainty? Finally, Mr. Deputy Speaker, being an island floating on a sea of oil and natural gas, our people are curious about the government's action for a long-term solution regarding the fuel crisis. Are there any serious or strategic conversations by this government on downstream processing of oil and natural gas in PNG as a long-term solution to mitigate the fuel shortages in Papua New Guinea? Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Minister for Rural and Development, Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And I appreciate the question from the member for Usino-Bundi on this important issue. As we all know, the global crisis and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz has caused increase in global prices of oil worldwide. So this is not a problem that this only PNG faces, but the entire world. And as a result of that, during the war, and a lot of the facilities in 9 countries around that region have been damaged, particularly the oil fields and storage facilities and that. So we can expect the oil to continue to, prices to continue to remain high for some time. And so the questions raised by the member for Usino-Bundi is an appropriate question. As you all know, in April this year, the war in the Middle East has caused prices to rise. And the government came in very quickly and intervened to stabilize the fuel. And I think the policy pursued at the time was that we need to act very quickly to stabilize price. Because if we do not, the volatility in the price and the high prices will creep into the rest of the economy, and that's going to create inflationary pressures, increase the high cost structure of the economy, including affecting our consumers, particularly of fuel, and also in the shops when parents go to buy groceries and things like that. And so the longer we leave it, it's bad for our country. So the government acted very, very quickly and stabilized the price. And until now, I don't hear any complaints about prices. And the price stabilization program has successfully stabilized prices in the country. It is true that, and so as a result of that, I just want to inform this honorable House and the country that the stabilization program of the government has greatly reduced our price, and our price in the country is very low compared in terms of diesel prices, petroleum prices, Kero, Jet A1 prices, compared to countries in the region like Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, the Philippines. I think the only one that's below Papua New Guinea is Indonesia, and as a result of our subsidy program. So I just wanted to add that for our information. In relation to, so that's the, I just wanted to mention that as a result of the government's intervention program of the 1 billion kina that Cabinet approved. In relation to the member's question, the 1 billion kina, as we all know, is not budgeted in this year's budget, given the nature of the event. However, I just want to point out that the 1 billion kina is only 3.4% of the total net expenditure and lending. And so it is within the government's ambit and treasury to reallocate resources within its existing budget to allocate. If it is 10% or above, then it has to come to Parliament. But that's a decision for Treasury to make. I just wanted to reassure the honorable member of that. So far, we have released around 600 or so million kina. We released about 247 million kina, followed by recently an additional 383 million kina. So that amounts to about 600 million kina, thereabouts. And so we still have scope to look at. The main issue, and I agree, is the sustainability of the program. We have looked at a number of policy options to see how we can be able to sustain this subsidy program. As you all know, the Middle East war and the tension there has not eased down. As of today, the spot price for crude oil is around 93.5 US dollars a barrel. Around April, it was around 139 US dollars per barrel. So it's easing down, but it will continue to remain high above for some time. And so the issue of sustainability of the fuel price is very important, and the task force team, together with Treasury, we are working around looking at many different policy options so that we can be able to sustain the subsidy program. And whatever decisions that will be taken on in relation to the sustainability aspect of it will be something that we will take to Cabinet to look at. In relation to the issue, yes, there's a lot of opportunities around, Mr. Deputy Speaker. There are those that will continue to price gouge, increase prices, and I just want to point out that for any of our people out there who feel that the suppliers or the retailers at the price gouging level, if they are increasing prices unnecessarily, they can call ICCC on this number. The call sign is 7036-8350. Call the ICCC so that they can go down and investigate that complaint and penalize them. So I just want to make that very clear. On that, also, in relation to the last question, or the other second last question in relation to how long the subsidy will last. As I said, this is a matter that we are currently, the task force team and Treasury are working on. If we can come up with certain sustainability options, we should be able to push that back towards the end of the year or so. And then we can look at what options are there as the global oil prices of crude oil continues to remain high. Otherwise, the last question, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in relation to domestic market obligations, this is an important question and area to speak on. And so I just want to say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that I understand that the Minister for Energy will be presenting a detailed report in answer to, I think, a question from the opposition on this matter. And so I just want to say that in this report, he will be specifically talking about the refinery and domestic processing. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.